So 2 weeks ago, I'm sitting at my desk at this online speaker competition. And after hearing everything they have to say, hear Pat Quinn say that you've got to practice more. And I'm like, practice more? I practice all the time. I have a podcast. I have our coaching program. I speak on my stages. But I realized with how nervous I got, I know that some of you are terrified to get up and speak in front of people. When I'm up in front of people, it's not really a problem. And for whatever reason on this virtual stage, I was sweating, palms sweating, armpits sweating, heart pounding. And I found myself using the same tools of like the 3 Ps: pause, pull back, take a physical scan, breathing for a 2-minute talk where you just do what they're teaching, right? And so after this event, as I was really looking at one, how much I learned from it, two, I decided to buy their next live event, which is in Denver in December. And I said, I need to practice. Like I've got to, when I recognize my body's having this visceral experience, it's because it perceives there is a threat. And I know there's not a threat. I know this, people, but I still have my places of discomfort. And so what do? I lean in. So this is my lean in. I put on Facebook and Instagram that I wanted to get on 30 stages before December 13th when I go for this workshop, to be practicing what I learned and just put in the reps, adjust, see how some went, others maybe I would have done different. And so today alone, I have 7 of these 30-minute conversations, stages, in essence, virtual stages that I put into place with myself or other people in their podcasts. And so today is a part of that series. And you're going to hear a few of them because the ones that I feel are very valuable for you, I want to pass that along, which is amazing. So today is about money. Today is about sales, because those of you that have been at our live events, or you've come to Masterclass Mondays, or you're in the Condor Approach program, have heard me talk about money as a medicine. Money, just like with psychedelics, shows you some pretty shadowy parts, and that's what today's episode's about. So with no further ado, I'm going to kick it into the intro. I know that you're going to enjoy this episode. When you do, I want you to shoot me a message on Instagram and let me know your biggest takeaway. Shoot me a message. Love to hear it. Check out today's episode. I know there's a long intro, so I'm gonna keep it moving so we can get to the good stuff.
Whether you're a life coach, therapist, biohacker, invested in wellness, or in the healthcare profession, if you have an intention to work in psychedelic spaces, you're in the right place then. If you're called, get involved. But first, get informed. Let's talk the 4 N's: intake, intention, in-space integration. Leading to deeper transformations. Psychedelic Coach Podcast, Talk Kole. Walk you through the process, it's all possible. Leave space for the follow through. Most importantly, integration is not optional.
All right, y'all. I'm so excited for today's show. I love this woman to no end. You don't even know. And even though we haven't gotten to connect often, when we do, it's that immediate, like, why don't we talk more? What is happening? Because we always have great conversation. So y'all, I am really excited for y'all to meet Marla today. You've maybe seen Ta do some things with her in the past, but there's some important conversations with all the craziness in the world right now. You might have been sitting there saying, oh, I shouldn't be selling right now. Oh, the world's such a bad place. Who am I to be charging? We're going to talk about that today. All right. So Marla, before we even jump into today's conversation, will you do a little bit of an intro just so people have context of where you're coming from as we share?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I am thrilled to be here. My name is Marla Mattenson, and I am the founder of the Ethical Sales Institute, which is a relational approach to business and sales. And my background is as an intimacy expert for entrepreneurial couples for the last really 30 years. So I'm 52 now. And I started as a doula, helping women through labor, delivery, and postpartum. And then that turned into coaching when one partner had an issue and the other partner didn't get it. So I was a bridge to help the communication flow. And I've made my whole career and life, whether I was a high school math teacher or a doula, helping women through labor and delivery, or a body worker or a coach, all about intimacy, all about connecting. And it's been quite a ride because sales is something that doesn't seem like it's relational. However, it's probably one of the most intimate conversations you could possibly have. And it's also a challenging conversation because we both bring our old past trauma into the conversation unintentionally. So that's probably a good place to start.
Yeah, that immediately starts it, because one of the most common things I hear from our coaches is they feel gross selling, or it's icky, or they, for whatever reason. And there's the stories and all the background, but why is that, Marla? Why is it that people that seem to care the most about wanting to help others have this thing about when it comes to actually taking credit card or payment?
Okay, let's unpack it. It's a complex issue. One of the issues is we're only comfortable asking other people about their time capacity, their financial availability and capacity to invest, their doubts, and who makes the decisions, as much as we are comfortable asking those questions of ourselves or having somebody else ask those questions. So if your calendar is booked from morning till night, you don't want anybody asking about your time capacity. And so you might have a challenge asking about somebody else's. If you don't want to talk about your financial situation, then you might have a hard time asking about somebody else's financial situation. And it's not because there's inherent shame around having wild finances behind the scenes. It's because money conversations are a taboo topic in general in our culture. It's considered rude to ask about money. It's considered rude to, oh, how much did you pay for that? Oh, how much was your house? How much are your monthly payments? This is not normal cultural vernacular. We don't speak in transparency in our culture. We bring our mask. We bring the forward-facing best version of ourselves to conversations. And
or
so
to be nice.
Or to be nice, right? So that people like us. And we've been taught that sales is about the know and trust factor. Well, I'm here to basically debunk. You actually don't have to be liked to make a sale at all. You don't have to be liked. You do have to be trustworthy, though. You do have to have a trust about you and what you sell and what you're expressing in the conversation in order for someone to actually want to lean in and learn more, let alone making the sale. But another aspect is that in our world today, there's so much polarity around intense topics that most people want to just skirt around it and not get into the depth of the challenging topic. If you don't have conversations with your partner about finances, if you haven't felt pleasure in your relationship for a year, but you don't talk about it with your partner, if you're not having the challenging conversations in your own personal life, and then yet you bring a challenging conversation to a potential client, it's going to transfer. It's going to translate. And this is one of the reasons I love what you and Todd do, is because your work just gets right to the heart of everything. And every challenging topic is on the table. There are no off the table topics. And so when you start living that way on a day-to-day basis, you start to realize sales conversations are just challenging conversations where people are going to have opinions and needs and unexpressed desires. And if you know how to sit with that, if you know how to be with someone, then you actually can be a phenomenal salesperson for your company, for your business, for your programs in the world.
Mm-hmm. When I watch how often in my past I would avoid any sort of confrontation because I didn't want to make that person feel bad. But it was really an avoidance of my own discomfort. It wasn't about them feeling bad. It was my feeling about them feeling bad, right? And so to avoid that, I'd be like, oh no, it's fine. Oh no, it doesn't matter. Or I'd get angry or I'd end a relationship. And it wasn't until it was interesting when Todd and I started to explore money. We were working with Christina Wise on how to actually learn your money, how to balance, how to invest, not even necessarily invest, but you got to get honest with your finances, right? And to confront that was one of the hardest work. I could drink 10 cups of ayahuasca before for the first time we sat down to try to reconcile and truly understand our money, that confrontation was a visceral, like nauseum, or getting an overdraft fee would make me sick to my stomach. And so I love to approach it to the same depth you've approached it yourself. That's the same thing we tell all the Condor coaches. Walk the walk. You can't hold space for something you've never confronted. And it's not that it's the same thing. It's the feelings that come as a result of a confronting situation. So when you're working with people, how do you start to approach them leaning in and exploring this?
Yeah. Thank you for asking that question. So we have developed a framework. We have a process. It's called the ESP process. So it's the ethical sales process. And ESP develops also your extrasensory perception, which is ESP. And so it's about understanding the reason why you can feel someone else's discomfort is because of mirror neurons. You actually are co-regulating together in the sales conversation. And so if you're not the one leading the conversation and you don't know how to navigate when someone else has skepticism arise, or if they're just like kicking the tires and checking it out, but you need to earn money because you need to pay your bills, but they're not sure, how do you navigate those feelings that happen? We have a process and it has a philosophy and a 6-step process. So the first thing to do is align with our philosophy. And the philosophy creates safety in the conversation. So the philosophy, it's all aligned with, I'm sure your people probably know, the polyvagal theory by Dr. Stephen Porges. And if not, it's the science of safety, how to cue safety rather than cueing threat. And number one, humans over transactions. That's one of the philosophies. And that means you care more about the relationship building, the relationship development than you do about the transaction. And so if you have that philosophy in your heart, then no matter what arises, if somebody is not clear on what you're talking about, or they have resistance, you don't take it personally because you're developing a relationship. They're allowed to have their expression. And the second aspect we call sell the way you serve. That means I'm pretty sure all of your people serve beautifully. Their service, you can always grow in that, of course, but that's where their sweet spot is. Their sweet spot is service. Sell the way you serve means give them a taste of what you do in your service, in your fulfillment, in the sales conversation. So it's not bait and switch. You're not going to be all buttoned up and tightened up and putting on a mask during your service. So why would you do that in a sales conversation? Our process teaches you how to remove those masks and to be present with somebody. Sell the way you serve. And then the third aspect is called celebrate choice. And so that's probably the biggest distinguisher between what we do and traditional sales, which is traditional sales drives to a yes. So throughout the whole conversation, you're listening for the yes. You're avoiding the no. You're listening for how they're leaning in. And with us, the whole process drives to clarity. Clarity, clear. You're listening for yeses. You're listening for nos. You're listening for what does this person need and want, and what are my services? Where's the overlap? You're not invested in a yes. You can be hoping for a yes because of all of your personal needs. But when you get to the sales conversation, you release that, you let that go so that you can be present with clarity. So clarity can emerge. And that way you get to celebrate the choice in somebody, because guess what? You want your choices celebrated too. Don't you want your no's honored and celebrated and not twisted around into a yes? I know I do. So that's part of our philosophy. So that's the philosophy behind it. that roots you in safety in the conversation. And therefore, you're the leader of the conversation, cueing safety for people to reveal the truth about their pain, the truth of their challenges. And then it's just a conversation. And you go through our 6 steps, which are mix and match. You don't have to start in any particular place.
Anyone that's listening, I'm going to say this part in case you missed it, because if it's the only thing that you took today, it's huge. Sell how you serve. Like that, it's one of those things that's so obvious and totally just not said. Like, why would I pressure someone when I teach about consent and understanding what is your instinct no versus your intuition no, and what are the different types of discomfort? First of all, no is no, period. And as we step back, pause, pull back, or what we call the 3 Ps, pause, pull back, take a physical scan. It's up to me or that person to pause and pull back to say, okay, within this no, what do I need to know or do or be or understand? Maybe I need to sleep on it because I'm into human design. And I know that a is still a no because I might need to sleep on it, right? And so if I, on one hand, promote these types of education, but then in the sales process say, well, no, then you need to do this because for whatever reasons, that makes no sense. And I think that's where people have seen this bro marketer hard selling thing where they think that's sales. When really, if you're following your design, then you get on and talk to people. You get on, you share, you support them in using their tools and skills and the celebrating the answer. Because truthfully, I've learned, I've had sales jobs, been top in sales from motors and generators to working for Alex Sharfin to events to I've worked them. And I realized if I had to hard sell someone once and it was going to happen more than once, the program, I was going to have to sell them over and over again for the duration of the contract.
Okay.
And it was not worth the money.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That piece right there, this advice that they say, stop talking once the client says yes, because you can talk them out of the sale. I say, if you can talk somebody out of the sale, you didn't make the sale. It's not a clear sale. So you can't mess it up when you practice ethical sales. And consent is step 3 in our process. And so consent is embedded. It's initial consent and ongoing consent. It's not just you're in the conversation so I can ask you anything that I want to ask you, or I can say anything I want to say. No, there's consent every step along the way. And I just love how aligned we are in what you do, the pause and pull back. We have the same thing. We have the powerful pause. And sometimes I get really excited. So when I know I can serve someone, I get like a puppy dog a little bit. So enthusiasm selling, like Tony Robbins, like people who are just like, yeah, let's go for it. I get like that too sometimes to get excited. So what do? I pause and I pull back to my side of the 50% line. This is how we talk about it in our company is I'm going to come back to my 50% of the line so that I can let you know you have full range to explore your yes or no. I'm clear that I'm understanding I'm a yes to moving forward, but that doesn't have anything to do. I want you to make your own decision separate from mine, but it's also transparent to be able to let somebody know I'm a yes for working with you for these reasons. And so let's talk about where you're at. And one other piece about the no and the yes, within every no, there are some little yeses. And within every yes, there are some no's. So if we avoid the no, we're avoiding a huge growth and relationship building opportunity that when you actually pause long enough to ask someone about their hesitations, even if they're like, yes, I want to do this. If you haven't asked about why they don't want to, then you're going to be dealing with that in the fulfillment anyway, because that's the little resentment, that's the little irritations. Those are those little voices like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done this at this time. My schedule's so full. So you ask about those things in a sales conversation, just matter of factly. It doesn't have to be a big deal. So anyway, I feel like we could have a slumber party.
That's the thing is, even when we're training our coaches, the things that we're talking about is you have to let go of your projection of the outcome, or else you're denying them the realization process necessary for them to be all in on themselves, on the decision, on whatever. And so if it's, yeah, I want to do this, I just need to think about it. I don't avoid the question or confront it necessarily. I get curious. And it's okay, so is there anything specifically that you're still thinking about? Because in case you need any more information, I'm the source of the information. And I want to make sure I answer any pending questions that you might have before we jump off the call while you think about it. Because if it's a timing or the calls or whatever, then let's unpack that before you jump off so that you're making an informed decision. Because I may have forgotten something because I don't have a set script I'm following. I'm connecting, I'm listening. And it's crazy how often someone will say, I just don't know if I can make the calls. And I'll be like, we have recordings. Are you someone that will catch up on calls is my question. And it's, oh, I have no problem doing that. I didn't realize there's replays or something like that. And now we just answered one of the objections and I can go, is there anything else that you're hesitant on? I didn't say no, hesitant. Mm-hmm. And that curiosity, all I'm doing is coaching the way that I coach in my program. Marla, I didn't realize for a long time, all I had to do was be myself with my team and sales. Because I could hard sell, but I didn't like that. But I was doing that with team too. I was treating my team different than how I coach. And so as you've seen this with money, how has it also changed like your relationships in approaching conversations?
Okay. I'm very excited right now. I'm like, okay. So we have redefined sales. Sales are not just about financial exchanges. Sales are exchanges of value. And so we call sales a team effort. TEAM, the acronym TEAM. So T stands for time. It's an exchange of time. E, energy, expertise. E, A, attention, and M, money. And so before anybody is going to give a financial exchange, you have an exchange of time, energy, and attention. You have tea with somebody, TEA. You have tea with someone before there's a financial exchange. That's what a podcast is. Anybody who's listening right now, this is an exchange of your time. This is an exchange of your energy and your attention for our time, energy, and attention, right? And so those exchanges are relational exchanges. And so when you earn the right to ask for a financial exchange, it's because you've built what we call a trust relationship. So that trust relationship is based on you being you, not you being some masked version of yourself. It's you being you, your wild, weird, quirky, wonderful self, because that's what they're going to get in the fulfillment. So why would you give them something different in a sales conversation than you're going to do in the fulfillment? It's like you said, it's very obvious. And yet it's also like a mind twister because we think that sales are this horrible, slimy thing, but really it's just the word that has aligned itself with all of that negativity. Some people don't use sales in their vernacular. Instead, they say, I have exploratory calls, I have discovery calls, I have clarity calls. And they're avoiding using the word sales because they know that word is repelling to a lot of people. However, it is a sales conversation. And in our world, every yes or no question is a sale. And that's how you start celebrating choice. And so you can practice our process and our philosophy with your team, with your sweetheart, with your children. You can practice this with your colleagues. You can practice this with yourself, because the first sale you need to make is with yourself, of who you are, what you stand for, what you believe in, and how you're going to navigate. And so our sales trainings are essentially growth tools for you in your entire life. It doesn't just make you a great salesperson, it really makes you a great person.
As you were explaining that, I had this moment of seeing how often I'm inside of a store. And if I really like something, I go into selling myself. The value, oh, I would wear that all the time though. So yeah, it costs more than I would normally spend, but there's this event and I'm selling myself into the value of the item. And I also do the opposite of that. And I'm sure lots of people listening do this too, where it's, oh, you know what? Let me get the kids' braces handled first. But if you look at the history, they're always selling themselves out of things for themselves and selling them into things for other people. And when I just started to look at how often I was selling myself out of something, where it would be a pen for $5, I'm like, oh, ridiculous. For a pen when I could have a Bic gel tip for 20 for $5, whatever. But then immediately go to a restaurant and have a $70 steak, right? And when I started to look at as perceived value only, and that I'm always selling myself on something, because that's all a decision, like you said, is I've either sold myself into it or sold myself out of it. That's why no one can hard sell me. Like it doesn't work because
Right.
I sell myself and I
That's
either
right.
accept what you're saying or not. And that celebration of choice, this is where you actually empower people. They're one step closer to what's next for them when it's not you. And for me, I love a no as much as I do a yes, because I'm wanting to create a certain energy in the community I'm building. And if that's a no for you, then you are not for us either. And yay, go find where that is for you. So for anyone listening right now and bringing this conversation to a close for now, because we clearly need to do this again, what is one piece of advice you would like these spiritual, I wouldn't even just say leaders, but these people that are operating from very heart-centered, heart-driven, purpose-driven lives on sales?
It is urgent that you fall in love with selling your work in the world. It's urgent. It is so needed right now in our globe, in our world atmosphere with so much negativity and polarity. We need practitioners and professionals who know how to help people heal, who know how to help people move through their challenges and their pain in their lives, to have freedom, to have a sense of connectedness and oneness. It is urgent that you bring your work out into the world, that you're not the best kept secret anymore, that you are absolutely visible and on the map and being recognized for your work in the world. And that happens through falling in love with talking about your work with anybody who will listen. And if they don't want to listen, say thanks so much and go to the next person. Talk about it, have conversations. And then eventually those conversations lead into developing relationships with people who deeply care about your work and eventually become clients, referral sources, or have friends who are like, oh my gosh, you've got to work with Kole. You've got to do this work. So I'd say it is urgent that you fall in love with selling your work in the world.
Mm. So good. Marla, where can people find you? What's the best access connection point for you?
Probably at this time, LinkedIn or Instagram are the best places to find me, Marla Mattenson. There's only one of me. Those are probably the best places. Come follow me and send me a DM. I love hearing from people who actually are real people who are interested in what I'm doing. We have tons of free resources. I've got a free quiz we have the client whisperer quiz, which tells you about what client types you tend to attract and what that says about you. And it's really a fantastic free quiz. So I highly recommend that, and find me and send me a message.
Mm-hmm. You heard it, y'all. Go hit up Marla. Ask her for the quiz if you want the quiz, or just start a conversation. The beautiful thing is trust that feeling in your body to inquire for more. That's it. There is no commitment, and no one can ever pressure you into anything. And this is what I want to remind you all. Anyone that will bypass your boundaries, just turn and walk away. That's it. Because I know that for me at this juncture at my life, if someone on the sales or receiving end hasn't done that work, they're not for me. Even people newer on the psychedelic path, not my students. There's a certain work that I'm not here for anymore. I can hold space for it, but someone that comes that hasn't done that work's not my client, customer, and is not my coach or who I'm going to learn from. Thank you so much, Marla. For everyone listening, leave comments. If you had a big takeaway from this episode, leave a review. That's my love language. I have 2 love languages, referrals and reviews. Okay. Now you all know
R&R.
those are my love languages.
I love it.
And then quality time. Third, I love you. I love everything that you're doing, Marla. And I can't wait for everyone to check out this episode and hit you up and let you know how much they appreciate it. More to come soon, y'all. Hey, fam. Are you struggling in your relationships right now or feel like your communication is just not really connecting? Ta and I are doing an event on December 2nd in Austin, Texas, and you can tune in remotely to really teach the systems and frameworks that not only we've used in our relationship, but how we've worked with couples and business partners to deepen the relationship at times, to clarify, to clean up. It all comes down to communication, and especially right now with the holidays, with everything going as far as war and suffering and hurt, a lot of people are shutting down. And if you've noticed yourself or people in your environment where that is happening, it's time to elevate your communication skills. So on December 2nd, we're doing a live event in Austin, Texas. It's $997 for 2 people. You must have 2 people. You don't have to live in the same location. You do not have to be relating romantically or in business, but someone that you would like to go through these practices with, because this is not a passive thing to teach. In order to learn these skills and tools, you must be in community. You must be in conversations that could feel a little confronting to learn the skill. If we just tell you how, your body isn't going to go through the process of learning the techniques and being able to apply them. So if you're in a relationship, you're having a challenging time, or you would just like to re-articulate it, you would like to start a new, fresh approach to the relationships you're in, with your kids, with your spouse, with your business partner, whoever that might be, hit me up, shoot me a message on Instagram at Mr. Kole, MYSTIKOLE, or you can go to the Condor Approach Instagram. Tell me you would like the info about the live event. I will put it in the show notes as well, but I'm always here for questions. Again, you can tune in remotely, and you and the second person do not have to physically be in the same location. The price is the same whether you come in person or virtual, because we are interacting with you the same way. You are merely tuning in from a other location. I hope to see you there. This is the time to shift, to bring more ease in the places and spaces that you can. There is so much we cannot control, but we must stop what is being perpetuated as trauma on top of all the trauma of the world, because if you are contracting, if you're shutting down, you're not able to communicate to the people in your life who are. We're going to create the things that we're going to have to do therapy for us, our kids, our family, our friends, 5 years from now for what is occurring right now. So again, I love you. If this resonates for you, hit me up or at team@condorcoach.com. You can always connect there. I hope to see you there. Peace.
Integration is not optional.